guardians of metal entertainment worldwide. I'm here with Chris from Nile, and thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. How has the tour been going so far for the second leg of Those Whom the Gods Detest tour?
So far, it's been a good success. We're up against quite a few tours right now. You know, from what I've heard, Danzig's out right now, Black Label Society's out right now. There's quite a few metal acts out doing their thing. But, you know, it usually kind of runs in cycles, to my experience, and with the economy the way it is here in North America, everybody's just kind of out to do what they can do and get it where they can. So we've been battling some other tours, but it hasn't really affected our market so much. So far, so good. You know, we got a really killer package with us. You know, from all over the world, we got the Keep Coalescing guys from Norway, which are doing some drawing. We got Psychroptic from Australia. You know, all in all, it's a good death metal package, and I think the true fans of that are showing up and enjoying themselves. So it's good so far.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you guys are doing well, considering how many tours are in town within the next few days.
Sure, yeah, we've had that through a lot of the cities in the U.S. so far. We'll come in and there's been a big tour come through the day of or the day before, or going to be there the day after. And you know, and as a musician and a player, you look at that, you see the schedules, and it kind of makes you get that feeling like, oh no, are we gonna get the turnout? But I think the band has worked hard enough to make enough of a name for themselves to where there are a lot of true Nile fans out there. And even though this is our second time through, even here in Seattle, within a year, we still get a lot of the same guys that show up and are true for it and just can't get enough of it. So it's really helping us out a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's always the diehard fans that will always be there.
They're keeping us alive. You gotta love them. You gotta love them.
Speaking of the fans, have you noticed a bigger turnout for this album touring? Any chance?
No, I've noticed a difference in the reactions though. I think the latest record that the guys did was it went over really well. It was a very catchy record, and it's got a lot of chanting kind of parts in it that people can sing along with. So I see some of the older material, which I'm a fan of also. A lot of the people are really into that for its kind of psychotic approach to music. And the newer stuff is still, you know, we're pushing, you know, 280 beats per minute and stuff, so it's fast and it's in there, but it's got a lot of kind of crowd-oriented songs. So the newer material, I would say we're seeing bigger crowds. Probably it's been kind of even keel through the last few album cycles, but there's a lot more of people really getting into what they're doing out there with us. So it's a good turn. It is.
That's awesome. With the release of the limited DVD available at the merch stand for this tour, what can fans expect to see on this DVD?
It's a step into the world of Nile. It's basically our tour manager, Punchy, which does many things. He's our sound engineer, you know, he's recorded videos for us. He was smart, he just went in, he's really good with a video approach. He did a lot of interviews with the guys. You know, just kind of got into where you wouldn't, in the studio setting with Nile, you wouldn't normally see a video camera, and just put one there for a change. And it's an inside look for people, because the band, you know, we've all been saying it for years, we want to do a DVD, we need to get a DVD, but you kind of see the same approach to DVDs. You know, here's a live show on DVDs, so as opposed to just seeing the band live, which you just went to see, you know, and maybe there's a bigger crowd on the DVD, you know, as opposed to that, it's a look inside just the lives of the guys that are doing it and how they come up with the inspiration they do to make the songs the way they make them. And it's really interesting, actually. It's the kind of stuff me as a fan would like to see, you know, because there's a lot of guys out there I look up to, and like I said, you get a lot of the same stuff out of DVDs, but this is one of those to where it steps in. It's about the music, but it's not just showing the music being performed. It's the inside look of what goes into the hours of tedious labor that goes into making a Nile song come to life and to fruition in the studio setting. So it's an interesting look, for sure.
That's really
it's a
cool.
little different kind of cutting edge sort of idea.
That's a really cool way to advertise yourself too, in a way.
Sure.
Then fans get to see what you guys go through.
Sure.
To make Nile what it is.
You hear funny stuff, you know. You hear guys say, like, I've even heard somebody say, well, somebody just writes these songs for them and then sends it to them. Or you hear a lot of weird things of how we would come up with songs, or how the band has over the years come up with songs without me being any kind of part of it. But you know, and this is just kind of takes all that and just kind of throws it in the toilet and says, look, here's what's done. You know, just like any other band out there, they go into the studio, we work our asses off, and do it till it's right, you know, and this is kind of a living proof of that.
After this tour and the early 2011 tour in Europe, what are the future plans for Nile?
Well, that's basically going to wrap it up. There has been some talks of maybe going to Canada for the end of our cycle, because we've done, for this record, Those in the Gods Detest, we've done pretty much every market we can as far as touring goes. You know, we've done the European festivals, we've done our European tours, Australia, Japan, you know, everywhere you can basically get through South America. So when we finish this North American tour, we head to Europe. And there's talks of tagging on some Canadian dates for the first time ever, because there's a lot of eager fans to be up there. We've been eager to get up there. There's just been some border issues holding us back. I won't go into depth with that. But besides that, it's going to be time to write. We'll take, you know, George, our drummer, lives in Athens, Greece, and we all live in the Carolinas. So we're going to take some time and get really serious about writing. We've already done some writing, but you know, it's a little bit of pre-production here and there. We're going to get really serious. Take the time we need to get the songs where we want them. Then we're going to fly George in, do the rehearsal times to get it right where we want it, and then it's going to be studio time for the Nile record.
So that sounds great. Can't wait to hear it.
Can't wait to do it.
Speaking of which, Nile is known for heavy Egyptian history. Is there a story behind why Egypt? Or is it more of just personal interest in that time period?
I think so. That really boils down to Carl. He would be a better guy to talk to about the history and everything he gets it from. But I think when he started the band, he had such a strong interest in the culture of Egypt, and also there's just so much you can write from the history of Egypt. I mean, basically there's just an endless amount of history and really brutal things that come from the time of the Egyptians, you know.
Yeah.
You could write 100 albums and not even scratch the surface of it, you know. So I think that there was just a really strong interest with what Carl was doing, and you know, he does a lot of research on it and draws a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places with it. But, you know, he'd be the guy who would be able to tell you exactly what about what. You know, he does most of the lyric writing.
Like, I don't know if my next question will apply to him as well, but the cover of Those Whom the Gods Detest is the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten. Is there a particular reason for that Egyptian pharaoh?
That would be a better one to talk to Carl about,
yeah.
Honestly. I could tell you a little about it, but I'm not going to give you a good enough answer of exactly why, because, you know, like I said, that's Carl's research into something like that, so he'd be a better guy to answer.
Okay. Do you see Egypt in a certain way as like a symbol for the band? Do you advertise the band as Egyptian metal in a way, or do you want to kind of stay away from labeling the band in such a way?
Well, I think all in all, we're just in a brutal American death metal band. But as far as labels go, you kind of can't help how you're labeled, but it's definitely referred to as an Egyptian style of death metal, you know, and it's not something you hear every day. I mean, you hear other people nowadays, they take a lot of historical things and they apply to their music. The band XDO doing direct support for us, they're pulling straight from the Roman category, which is a very brutal history also. But I don't think it's necessarily advertised as Egyptian, you know, strictly Egyptian, but it is. So you kind of can't help but notice exactly what it is.
When you guys are deciding on tours, do you guys have a personal preference? Like, for instance, if you got a chance to play an open air festival or do your own headlining tour, would you prefer one or the other, or do both have totally different benefits from one or the other?
Well, every show has benefits to everybody specifically as a player, I think, but honestly, everybody in this band loves to play so much. There's no such thing as a bad place to play or a bad time to play. You know, a lot of guys will ask us, you know, on a kind of a smaller tour like this, they'll say, you know, they'll come up and apologize, like, sorry the crowd was so little tonight, or there was only 300-400 people here, or something like that. And my response, along with a lot of other guys too, is, you know, that doesn't matter to us as long as any night we're playing music, we're happy people. You know, so I mean, yeah, there's places on earth that I personally like to go to, just outside of the music industry side of it, but just to be there. You know, like Australia is a very beautiful place. It's always really cool to go there, and metal has taken me there. You know? It's really interesting. There's a lot of historical things to see. You know, we've done Rome quite a few times, and I've taken the time to go see the Colosseum and things like that. So there's benefits outside of where you're playing, but you know, there's no one place better than the other to play. You know, as long as the people are there and they're loving the music, then we're happy.
That's great. Yeah. Is there anywhere that you haven't played that you would love to go to perform for
Sure.
fans that don't really get a chance to see Nile all that often?
Canada for starters. You know, we've been dying to get there for years. And we got some things worked out to where there might be a real possibility of us getting up there finally, because we have, you know, some fans like here in Seattle or when we're playing in Cleveland or whatever, that'll take the trip down from Canada and they'll say, why you guys never come up here to Canada, why never? And kind of got to explain, well, it's not our choice, you know, there's some issues, you know, with government that kind of holds us back from that, but we're working that out. You know, South Africa is one. We had some dates set up in South Africa a few years ago that eventually fell through because of issues with the promoter. But there's a market there we'd like to get to, and you know, there's the way the music industry is working now. From what I can see, is you know, there's not much money to grab anywhere. You know, and it's not really. We're not out here really for money. If we were out here for money, we would be playing death metal. But you can't spend 10 grand on a trip and lose your home because of it too. You know.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of bands, you know, getting to new places like India and different places in China and Asia and stuff like that, you know, that we're really eager to get to. That I'm pretty sure in the next few cycles we're going to see some new schedules on our calendar to get to some places. But I would say Canada would be the #1 spot we're dying to get to, for sure.
That's great.
I mean that, really I do.
Yeah, it'd be really great to see you guys. There's so many people that are eager to see you in Canada.
Yeah, there's a lot of killer bands from Canada. There's a lot of talent up there. And there's, you know, we get a lot of emails and a lot of just, you know, a flood of just reaction a lot of times about come to Canada, come to Canada. So I'm sure if we were to finally get up there, it would be just an amazing show. You know, we would be glad to be there. You know, absolutely. But
Yeah, definitely.
there's external things that, you know, can hold you back. So hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Well, hopefully it all works out so you guys can finally come to Canada.
And we got our fingers crossed, for sure.
Well, I would like to thank you, Chris, for taking the time to do the interview with MetalTitans.com. Anything you would like to add or send out to the fans?
To anybody in Canada, be patient. We're coming. We are coming. We're working on it. Besides that, that's it. Just looking forward to ripping up the show tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.